That's so sick. It's gotta have a little glow.
Yeah. BAASTAAAN! Live from the studio, I'm Jimmy Selesky.
I'm Eric Glazer.
And we're coming at you after, this is quite the hiatus a little bit, dude.
A little bit,
two-week jump. You were away for quite some time, right? Doing some stuff.
I was down in West Virginia doing a little video shoot. So I was down there all last week, and then you just had a little for fun retreat.
I know. It was quite nice. It was quite nice going up the road and visiting and stopped in Philly for one night, which I didn't realize Philly's basically just like it reminded me of like a mini New York City a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I was getting that vibe. And we were only there for one night stay with Sam Parat, classic vintage member of Sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on 1 second.
Sophomore, first generation, or no, second generation.
Yes.
He was the gold and silver of Sophomore.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was cool, man. I hadn't seen him in like forever, dude. And you would think that like staying at your ex-girlfriend's brother's house with your new girlfriend is something. It's not that
And
big.
it was.
It was. No, it was totally cool. It was really nice.
Nah, you guys are super close.
Yeah, I got a cheesesteak. I get really
Wit or without?
Wit or without. I always get like super touristy. Why do I feel like I'm so loud? Do I feel super loud to you right now?
I don't think you're loud, but the headphones are definitely a little loud.
Hold up.
I think, what if we just do this? Yep.
Oh,
That's better. What about there?
that's perfect.
That's perfect.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
it was just the loudness in the headphones.
This is what happens when random people infiltrate your studio and sip lean at the desk.
Yeah, that was crazy. We came in. I saw a bottle on the ground. I didn't want to touch it because I was like, I hope that's not piss. And if it is, boy, they got to see a doctor.
Yeah, that's some serious kidney
That's
problems
some-
there.
Yeah.
If anybody's aware of anybody who was coming in here, like it was I'm gonna guess nobody that I associate with would sip on lean. It's kind of
and we assumed that's what it was just because it smelled like the weird like cherry cough syrup smell, but it could have been a Crystal Light.
yeah.
It could have been something else. We're not sure.
It's weird when you're in a band and it's like a cool band. There's like an honest question like, was my drummer sipping on lean? Because that's like a classic drummer thing to sip on. It's unfortunate that it's much more likely that John was sipping on Crystal Light.
Yeah.
And not even sipping on it, just
I
made
mean,
it.
I feel like it could have been left over from one like a podcast guest too, or
Yeah.
who knows, really.
Yeah, I kind of blacked out before I went. Not like actually blacked out, but like when I come back after a vacation, I forget everything how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the 3-day trips are perfect. Like we stayed one night in Philly, and that was cool. I had been to Philly before, but like you just do like I'm a big I try not to be touristy, but obviously I'm getting a cheesesteak when I'm
Yeah.
up there, dude. You know,
Because it's like you're gonna do one if you're there for one night and one night only. What else you're gonna do?
yeah, not
Come
get
on.
a cheesesteak.
Not gonna cheesesteak? That's what they're fucking known for, dude.
And when you go with your girlfriend, you and your girlfriend and you have different ideas of what you're supposed to do in a city. My idea of what you're supposed to do in a city is
Try out their fast food.
find the local McDonald's. No,
Honestly, that's what I did in Germany. I was like, oh, there's a McDonald's in the city? I gotta try it.
but when you go to Germany, like when you go to another country,
yeah, I got the wings.
yeah, trying the McDonald's is actually still kind of doing something
Yeah,
because it's
true.
like if you go to fucking Pittsburgh and you try the McDonald's, you're not exactly expanding your horizons. But going to Germany, you go to Hamburg, Germany, you're not getting a hamburger.
Yeah, you're not going to McDonald's? Come
The
on, that's where
found-
they're from, I think.
I'm pretty sure, dude. Yeah, but so I got the cheesesteak. I somehow, I overly balled out on the cheesesteak. My cheesesteak wound up being $24.
What the fuck?
They charge you like per shred of lettuce.
Oh my
I
god.
was like, Jesus Christ, dude. But it was really good.
Yeah, wit, owe it out. Wit is $24. Without is $8.99.
What is it, Wit? What did you put on this? But I didn't really do too much in Philly, honestly. Like I went to like this weird dive bar that Liv hated. Well, we alternated in like girlfriend boyfriend stuff. So it was like, obviously, I feel like girls naturally are better at planning out stuff to do on a trip. Yeah. So like very obvious.
I feel like for the most part, girls are definitely the playmakers. And, you know, and it's not a bad thing because it's like you're going on a trip. You might as well try to see, you know, what there's to offer, try to build a schedule to get the most out of it. Guys, we're kind of just go with the flow.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like the tech guy.
And I feel bad because like I do want to contribute more to the shit like that, but like I'm also okay just doing shit.
Yeah, I don't really care that much about what we do. Like when we were driving back, she was like, "Oh no, we forgot to see the Boston Bean," and I was like, "Oh no, not the Boston Bean."
Not the bean.
I thought that was a Chicago thing.
Yeah, I thought.
I think that she was thinking of the Boston baked beans. I think.
Were you gonna go to Bush's factory?
Yeah, I guess.
Say what up to that dog that can talk.
Like for me, I just like I legitimately like I like going into because like. So, like, the first thing we did...
Don't get me wrong. I do like to... If I know something is in a city, like, I think the first time I went to Nashville, I was like, they have just a replica of the Parthenon they built in the middle of one of their parks for, like, the celebration of 100 years that the city was there.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah, you want to see it.
Sounds sick.
Also, kind of weird that that's, like, their, like... They named their football team the Titans because they have the Parthenon. It's like kind of weird that like their claim to fame is a replica of another city's claim to fame.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like how Boston Bean is a replica of Chicago's
Chicago Bean. Is there? I mean, I don't know much about Boston. I guess the last time I was there was like after 8th grade. My family went on like a weird cruise that went to Boston and then Portland, Maine, and then some place in Canada.
That is a cold cruise.
I mean, it was in the summer, so it was kind of nice because it wasn't as hot up there, even though it was. Like, Boston was hot as fuck. But we walked the Paul Revere Trail, I think. Is that up there?
I think so.
Yeah.
All like the old founding father stuff is up there. Like there's a town, like a little neighborhood called Revere. Like basically what I look for when I go places is like, if I don't hear the accent, I assume I'm in the wrong spot. So like the night before we left, we went to Christmas Village in Baltimore in the harbor, which I'd never done. Cause like when I think of like going to see Christmas shit in Baltimore, I think 34th Street.
Yeah.
So like I was like, she was like, I want to see the lights. And I was like, all right, 34th Street we go. And then she was like, where are we going? And I was like, fucking Hamden, baby. And she was like, oh, I thought we were going to Christmas Village. I was like, what is that? I never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's down in the harbor, right?
Yeah, so we went to that instead. Well, we actually went to both.
I went on that on mushrooms by accident one time.
Was that not enjoyable?
It was a little weird because everyone just kept trying to sell us stuff. And I was like, brother, I see right through you right now.
I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to get me to buy this.
I see your wires.
But the Christmas Village thing is like, it's a thing in every city, I think, because
I think so, yeah.
we went to the one
It's
in
like
Philly
a
the
little,
next
like,
night.
German kind of like village, and they sell like, you know, the spiced nuts, the candied nuts and shit. And yeah, no, it's definitely a cool thing to check out.
Yeah, it was cool. I got a little spiked hot chocolate, was walking around.
I
gotta say,
ice rink going on.
not to be a homer, but I do actually think the Baltimore Christmas Village was better than the Philly Christmas Village. And I will prove that I'm not a homer later in this conversation. But as it stands
Like
right
Homer Simpson?
yeah, not to be like a hometown guy, like everything in Baltimore is better than every other thing. But the Christmas Village in Baltimore was definitely better. And the 34th Street lights never ceases to amaze me in terms of how many people are fucking there, dude.
Yeah.
It's like a Tuesday night and it's like packed.
Yeah, I drove by it by accident the other night, and I was like cursing myself out. It's like, why the fuck did I try to drive this way?
What are
People
even,
just hang out in the street.
well, like, what are even the rules with that? Because like, they have to do it, right? If you buy a house in that neighborhood, like
Yeah.
you're required
You
to
sign
do
up
it.
to doing it. and they fought for recently to have the city. I mean, not too recently. It was like in the last couple of years, but prior to this like mandate or whatever, the city wasn't helping them with power. So
Oh.
like they get a stipend to be like, okay, you're leaving your lights on all fucking night every night for this entire month essentially. Like
Yeah.
we'll help you out with the power bill.
That's interesting that you say it because I'd actually assumed that was already the case like forever. Because I was saying to Liv like I knew. Like I was like, oh yeah, like they totally get like a stipend from the government. Like you think Baltimore's really making them like power their lights all month with no help? And it turns out, oh yeah, that was the case
Yeah, that was
until
the
like
case.
last year.
Yeah, until it like, it became such a thing that so many people came out and like expected it that like they kind of had a more of an argument to be like, hey, help us out.
It's intense, dude. Like
Yeah.
I feel like you really gotta love Christmas if you live on
Yeah,
the street.
but it is also fucked up because like they're like Elizabeth was saying this the other night where it's like you'll see like crazy ass Christmas displays, but then next to it'll be like our 3 kids are dead. This is a memorial with lights to them, and you're like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
This is not Christmas.
Is the city paying you for that? Holy shit. No, so we did both. We did both at that, and then we went to Philadelphia, or as I like to call it, Chilladelphia. I was fucking cold as shit the whole time, mostly because what Liv likes to do involves being outside a lot, and what I like to do is not adequately prepare for any trip I take. So I was like, I'll bring my fucking coat. Where am I going? Antarctica?
Yeah.
I'm just going fucking an hour north and then 8 hours north. How cold could it be? I was freezing. And then we're in
I
Christmas
bet in
Village.
Boston, you're freezing.
Dude, it was honestly colder in Philly. I don't know what the
Really?
deal was, but like I think it was because like the first thing we did was
Chilladelphia.
kind of go like their like market, which was like really nice. They had like this market. I forgot what it was called. And like, those like markets, like they're heated, but they're not as heated as like a real like single enclosed space. People are
Yeah.
constantly opening the door and shit. So you're kind of cold. It's like one of those things where you're warm if you keep your coat on the whole time, but
But
you
it's
can't-
like sitting near the door to a restaurant when it's cold out. Like you
Exactly.
get that draft all the time. And oof.
yeah, it was rough. And then we were walking around the
Did you
Christmas
think about
Village.
buying other warm clothes up there?
I did, but I never got around to it. I mostly I complained to keep warm. I just fucking whimpered. Whimpered for warmth. Never once crossed my mind to do anything about it. Fucking big ass baby in
Man,
Philadelphia.
it'd be so nice if I had gloves right now.
If
You're at
only.
a Christmas market where they're selling gloves.
Gloves and mittens. That's another thing I realized is mittens are exclusively a girl thing. I was looking at Liv was wearing mittens and I was like, guys can't wear mittens. It's a little whack to be
Yeah,
wearing.
I feel like once you get into like middle school, you got to get out. You phase out of mittens.
You gotta have fingered gloves.
You got to be able to grab shit.
Yeah, exactly. So we did that, and then we went to some another amazing thing, a fucking outdoor, like not outdoor bar, but it was like a bar, like a brewery beer hall that was like just covered by a tent. So that was still cold. And I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll get a warm apple cider. And they took the word warm very literally, where they were like, it's not hot. It's just
Warmer than it is temperature wise here.
It's like, dude, I leave beers on the studio floor, like, and this is like that temperature, like whatever temperature my beer is during the summer at the studio. This was the temperature of that cider. So then I was like, all right, let's go to this like place called like Oscars, and that was like the first like my pick of the night. And of course, it's like the divest fucking Philly cash only establishment. I'm sitting there and like there's a guy next to us with like a fucking like Bowie knife just on the fuking bar next to me.
God.
They're all just talking about like,
How did you find out about that place?
I just Googled like bar near me. And Google was like, you're a piece of shit. Why don't you go to this one? It's AI, baby. They know. Beers are the cheapest Bud Lights near me. And I just walked there and Liv's just sitting there. It's like fucking like Jesus Christ. And like, classic. I'm sitting in the thing and the guy next to me, every time he gets up, he like makes a point of it to like bump into me. And I'm like, is this guy... How Philly is this guy trying to be right now?
Yeah, what the fuck?
It's like he was just
Did
like,
you have that same shirt on?
no, I was
Royal
wearing.
shirt?
I think the problem was I was wearing because I got this look in multiple cities. I was wearing my pea coat, and my hair is a little less than it's the mittens of a haircut. Like I look a little soft with this haircut, I think. And people in other cities took notice. They were like, "This guy should be bumped into." I was like, "God damn it, dude!" So we're sitting in there, and we have our beer, and Liv's just like, "This place is gross." And I'm like, "What's wrong with it?" It's just, and then she like points up to the ceiling, like the ceiling's like caving in with like mold. I'm like, "Oh." This place is kind of gross. But then we went to this other place called McGillen's, which is like open since like 1860, Irish bar, and that was really cool. And then of course we met up with Sam, caught up on all of life. I realized, like, think about the next day, I was like, I haven't seen him in like 5 fucking years.
Yeah,
you know,
what happens?
It's weird when you like see somebody for the first time in 5 years. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's cool because you kind of immediately fall back into like, it takes a second to like remember even like what that person is like in person, you know? Because I've exclusively just kind of like quick text message back and forth like once a year for the past 5 years, and then to see them in person again, it's like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, I don't have any idea about like anything you do in life anymore, you know? But then immediately you just kind of fall back into it. And so we stayed the night at his place, had some old fashions, fell asleep on the couch, got up, drove to fucking BAASTAAN. Next day, still 6-hour drive.
Oof.
Still 6-hour drive.
So is it 6 hour?
Well, sorry,
how
5
long was
hours.
it back today?
We stopped in Jersey at Liv's parents' place on the way back, which I think was probably like a 30-minute detour.
Okay.
But overall, I think it was like a under 6.5 hour drive all the way.
Honestly, shorter than I would expect.
Yeah, it's from Baltimore to Boston. It's 6 hours if you don't bump in any like crazy traffic, which we didn't. Philly to Boston is 5 hours, so it just like cuts like a quick hour. Dude, that was the first time I've been to Boston, and like I am thoroughly fucking impressed by that city, dude. Like literally, it is the cleanest. Like just everything was tidy. It was like, I was just like driving around. I was like, this like looks surreal. I've always said the biggest flex somebody can do in their own personal apartment is have all their clocks set. And as a city, you're like
Having a clock even
having a clock
is the biggest flex.
But like when you're a city and you have like one of those old 1700s clocks and it's actually working, you can see the minute hand moving. You're like, dude, no clock in Baltimore is working, dude. We just look at the Broma-Seltzer Tower and we're like, see that? That used to be a thing.
That used to work.
But apparently we poisoned the world with fake medicine. According to that guy, we poisoned the world for a century. And they were like,
Yeah,
wait,
Jesus.
this shit isn't good for you at all. We're really drinking motor oil. And then we stopped setting the clock just ran out of batteries in like 1930. And we were like, we're good. We know what time it is. We don't need to fucking set it.
We know what time it is.
Oh, we know what time it is, dude. But like, it's weird. Like Boston's worst neighborhood. Like, you know how you always hear like Boston, like Southie. I'm from Southie. Dude, it's fucking Dundalk. It's Dundalk.
I mean, some fucked up shit goes on in Dundalk.
I mean, yeah, but like different levels of fucked up, dude. Like Boston's bad neighborhood's like a fucking guy on the corner like flipping a quarter. Like looking sketchy. You're like, oh, this guy looks like he's about to ask me if my shoes shine and then like steal them.
Oh no, he's gonna sell me a newspaper.
Oh no. No, dude, it was a really good time. I gotta say, dude, I was shocked at how little sports paraphernalia I saw. I thought like going to Boston, like that's like a big sports city. Like I thought I was going to see fucking Red Sox shit everywhere, Patriots shit everywhere, Celtics. They apparently, based off of what I saw, are big fans of their hockey team, the Boston Bruins. I saw a lot of Bruins stuff, but even that, not too much. I saw
but I mean, the colder it gets, like the more north you get, the more they're into hockey.
Yeah.
I mean, even Philly's pretty into hockey.
Yeah, Philly. I saw them. They had like the classic stuff you'd expect, like the Phillies shit, the Eagles shit. Like they kind of like lived up to their like level of liking their sports teams. It doesn't hurt that like their baseball team just went to the World Series this year, and their football team is about to go to the Super Bowl. So like obviously they're like super jacked up about sports, but like Boston was just like, I was like, don't you guys like the Red Sox? I thought you guys were like really into the Red Sox. You know, like all I ever hear is you guys fucking. The only time every time I would go to a baseball game in Baltimore, if we played the Red Sox, the stands were full of Boston fans because apparently it's like Fenway Park's like super small, and so
I mean, they might have had the shit on, but it was probably just cold. They had their jackets covering all their sports shit.
they don't have fucking coats, Red Sox.
No, they don't have fucking varsity jackets from the team.
It was an eye-opening experience, dude. I was like, this is a city that I could like really see myself liking, you know? But then you can't be like hoodwinked by it because like obviously when you're like staying in a city, like I did a lot of research. Like I said, like
And you're only doing like cool shit
yeah,
while you're there.
Yeah, I'm not going to like fucking Safeway.
Yeah.
Just experiencing the date grocery shopping in Boston. Like, oh God, this
Or like driving in rush hour or like, you know what I mean? Like you definitely get the grass is greener whenever
Yeah.
you visit a place.
And you're also like
And also you just don't know. So like you could have been walking around a fucking really sketchy ass neighborhood, but you're new to it.
but
And I get it.
the
Like,
thing is like, especially spending a lot of time around here, I kind of can tell. You can just kind of tell when a neighborhood's seedy.
yeah, you got a spidey sense for it.
And it's like you can just like you make a turn down a road and instantly your body goes, this is probably not the best road to be on. I never got that sense once in Boston. I got it like once or twice in Philly where I was like, oh, I get it. I get it. This is like you're not great area. In Boston, it was like more working clocks, huh? Like, wow, everything's fucking amazing here. Really? The roads are really fucking annoying. That is one thing I had heard about
yeah,
Boston.
they
is
got
like
tiny ass roads, right?
none of them make sense. When you're driving in Boston, whatever makes sense, do the opposite, and you're perfect. Like literally, a road will just be like, and then and then you'll like be at a red light. It's like, oh, it's one way the other way now, and then you got to like make like a 179-degree turn to go straight. The GPS will be like, go straight on this road, and the straight is like, like what?
Because that's what the horses used to do.
Exactly. Like, you guys really held true to this shit. But they are not patient. That's the one thing I will say, dude. I've never been beeped out. In New York, you hear a lot of ambient beeping. Like it stresses me out just like when I'm driving. There's a lot of beeping, but not at me. There's just a lot of people beeping at one another. In Boston, it was a lot of people beeping at me, specifically at me. Just everyone was pissed off at me.
They just saw your plates. They're like, you're not from around here.
That could have been it. It reminded me of like when Joe Rogan was talking about because you know he and Bill Burr are all from like Cambridge, which is basically like the Towson of Boston, whatever. Like they're all from like that area, and he was like, yeah, man, it's got to be like something like when you are in like a cold climate, you're just impatient. You know,
He's
like
got a shorter fuse.
like when you're in Miami, LA, it's like it's nice out, the weather's nice. You're just kind of like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like, yeah, the light's green, but like, you know, I got a sweet like acting gig. I actually know the director. Is like they're too self-absorbed with themselves to even give a shit that the light is green. In Boston, they're just like, dude, what the fuck? What the fuck? Beep, beep, beep. I'm like, dude, I don't even know which way to go. There's a 8-way intersection. I'm on a bicycle spoke right now. 3 roads are here. One of them's one way this way. One of them's a no-way road. Just a no-way road. Just do not enter. Do not exit. Just
It says no way.
no way. I got a parking ticket. That was whatever, dude. I saved so much money by not
Should have thrown it into the harbor like our founding fathers.
exactly, dude. Protest.
No taxation without representation, bitch. I don't live here.
I don't live here. What are you gonna do? Suspend my license from driving in Boston? We'll talk in 10 years,
Good
dog.
luck.
Dude, the parking was unreal. Easy.
Oh.
I'm in like
Oh,
downtown
easy?
Boston, and I'm just like, we're gonna go to this bar. Wherever am I gonna park? And you like turn one corner, it's like, 16 spots.
Damn.
Like, what the
Okay.
fuck?
I wasn't expecting it to take that turn.
I was not expecting it either. Somehow, parking is it's like a gigantic, like, I want to say it's like a gigantic small city, which obviously it looks like a big city, but it's like I think the size of it is perfect for the amount of people that live there. Like New York is overcrowded. You go to New York and it's like it looks like a huge city, but yet there's still so many fucking people there that it still feels cramped up. Boston looks like a big city, but like there's an appropriate amount of people there. So like you live in this like big downtown area with like skyscrapers and shit, but there's parking. It's like really fucking nice. And so the one thing I wanted to do, I was like, all right, like again, if I don't hear the accent, I feel like I'm in the wrong place. Like obviously, like I said with vacations, like I feel like my girlfriend is like the creative director and I'm like the tech guy. Like she finds out the stuff we got to do, and then I'm the guy who gets us there. Like I'm the guy driving the fucking car to where we're going. So I was like, the one thing I want to do is I want to watch a World Cup game in like a Boston like bar that I actually feel like is a bar that Bostonians would go to. So I found this place called like Biddy Earliers or whatever. I walked in, it smelled horrible. Terrible.
That's how you know it's good, bro.
I was like,
smelling the years of history of people puking and pissing all over the place.
Oh my God, it smelled so fucking bad. I was like, this is crazy. Everyone walked in, they were like, I even heard one guy walk in after me, was like, it's good to be back. You guys like this shit? But I was sitting there, that was when I like really heard like the fucking like, because we've talked about it before, but it's like you watch, Boston is one of those cities where they make a lot of like movies based there, or like, if you're Ben Affleck or Matt Damon, like all your characters are a Boston guy.
Boston.
Yeah. And it's like you constantly hear that accent. And so you naturally assume it's just like way more prevalent and way more pronounced than it actually is. And again, my theory with accents is regional accents are a class thing. The more blue collar working class you are, the more you have the accent of where you're from. Like when you go into Harbor East, you don't hear the Baltimore accent. You just don't. You don't go to like the Bygone in the harbor and hear people like, yeah, hon. You don't hear that. You hear
but
it
across the harbor in Locust Point, if you go to fucking a bar down there. You're getting it.
Where you really hear it is like that Chris Hudson used to do that joke. He was like, honestly, the Baltimore accent is like, yeah, it's Hamden and like, yeah, Locust Point, but it's also like a lot of like the county. It's like Dundalk, totally. Bel Air. Oh my God, dude, they have that fucking accent. Like my mechanic is like on the PA line in northern Baltimore County. He has like the thickest, like I took Liv to get her like car check there and she was like, he has like the thickest accent. I was like, yeah, I know, dude. It's crazy. You just don't hear it. So like that's kind of why I figured it's like if you're not hearing the accent, you're kind of in like a touristy area.
Doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong. So when I finally found it was just interesting to hear people like bitch and complain at the bar about stupid shit in like their accent. Like I can't really do a Boston accent. I only know I can say my sister goes to Harvard. I can do that. My sister goes to Harvard.
Harvard Yard.
Harvard, yeah. Like that's all I can do.
Kind of got to like talk with like a stuffed nose.
Yeah.
You got to be like, yeah, I'm from Boston.
I'm
from Boston.
It is weird when you like
Clam chowder.
Oh, dude. Clam chowder. I'm going to throw a couple recommendations out for people. First night, we super lucked out in Back Bay. There's this place called Salty Girl. I hate when restaurants that are really good have really cringe names that I have to say out loud. Like I have to come back and be like, dude, you got to go to Salty Girl. Go to Salty Girl. I wish it was called like Salty Grill.
Yeah.
In fact, I might just start saying that and acting like I fucked up just so I don't have to say.
Yeah, I thought it said Salty Grill.
I'm like, tell people like, dude, go to Salty Grill. And they're like, they'll call me when they're boss. And like, yo, did you mean Salty Girl? It's like, oh, yeah, just go there.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Probably. I could have sworn it was, I wouldn't have gone if it was, I didn't even know. I don't bother reading signs. I'm too cool, dude. So that was a great find there. Got chowder there. Great, dude. And I, of course, had to fucking Baltimore it up a little bit. I had to fucking take some hot sauce. A little drip in the chowder.
A little Old Bay.
A little drip in the chowder. It's fucking amazing. And then I got a lobster roll the next day. And then I realized I'm kind of a pussy. Because when I walked into the lobster shop, they got all the lobsters sitting right there. You order a fucking lobster roll, and they walk over the fucking thing
and grab the boy. No.
And I'm just like, Man.
I named that one.
I know, dude. I was like, damn, I'm a bitch, dude. I can't even handle a lobster. And Liv was like, oh, this is sad. And I was like, so then I had to like read 3 articles on lobsters to convince myself that they're stupid and deserve it. They deserve this.
Listen, he lived a long life in that tank.
Yeah, dude. It was kind of weird. And like when we walked up, like the owner of the place we went to for lobsters was called like James Hook or something. Really, really fucking good, right in downtown. BAASTAAN. And when we walk out, the owner's just like yelling at a guy with a leaf blower. The guy's like blowing leaves in the lot. And he's like, hey, don't do that. I don't do that to you. Blow them over there. Blah, blah, blah. And the fucking guy is just over there like pacing, like about to beat his ass. I'm like,
Jesus.
all right, Jesus. Get the fuck out of here. It was a true New England experience. So I feel like we did everything right when we went there. It's always nice when you leave a city and you're like, I did all the things I was supposed to do. You know? How was WV? Any West Virginian encounters? Encounters with the third kind?
Not really. I was like legit just working like every day. I think we had like 12+ hour days. The most I got out of the Airbnb was to go to Walmart, which is always interesting to see like Walmarts in different places. The scariest Walmart, not scary and like I'm afraid to be here, but like the people that were in the Walmart.
Concerning, yeah.
Dude,
It's like,
not even the West Virginia one. It was actually like middle of Georgia.
whoa.
That was like the most like, wow. People live like this.
Wait, so you went... So how many places did you go?
No, we were only in West Virginia. That was just an aside. Like
Okay.
the West Virginia Walmart, not too scary, but someone did just walk up to me and Joey and like, where can I find something? We're like, bro, we don't work here. Like, what the fuck?
You're the only 2 people I saw that look like you might be employed by anyone.
You look like the only people who have it together here, so I assume you work here. I guess, are you on your break?
Yeah, dude. That is one place. What town in Georgia was that?
It was actually in Harper's Ferry, so it wasn't.
Okay.
Or no. This was West Virginia that I'm talking about. The
West
town in
Virginia.
Georgia that had this like the scary fucking like daywalkers in Walmart.
Daywalker.
Where the fuck was that? It was like 2 hours out of Atlanta, but I forget where. But it was like legit like, cause like now when I think of Georgia, I think of like the big city, and I think of like Atlanta and shit. And Atlanta's super cool, but like before I had ever been to Atlanta, I just assumed Georgia was that Walmart that I went to. It was like, oh fuck, they're next to Florida. And Florida, I know Florida's bad.
Yeah. I would imagine Georgia, like I would assume Florida would be a better place to live than Georgia.
Well, the thing is though, Florida is like, there's definitely nice spots in Florida, but like they are few and far between. Like Florida, for the most part, is just murky ass swampland with like, you know, and like you've been to New Orleans, you've seen how bad like that humid weather and like dampness and the swampiness of that area like eats at the buildings and they just fall apart. That is like 70% of Florida.
Yeah.
Is just like buildings that like are falling apart, so people are just like buying a trailer and putting next to it.
Ugh, God. It's weird.
It's fucking crazy.
It's weird that like I don't know. It's like the thing with Boston is and like all those places.
But
like
everyone down there does have a boat.
Well, yeah, that's cool. And
That
that
is
kind
pretty
of
cool.
that kind of goes with my theory that I've been working on, my travel theory, my book.
Florida is just Essex.
Well,
Everyone has a boat there
kind
too.
of is. It kind of is. I've always had this theory that when you're going to a city, your best bet if you're looking for a place to stay, like an area to stay, because obviously you're gonna be bopping around. But my theory has always been where there's water, there's shit to do. Like I feel like it's just a good rule of thumb. Like if you stay by water, chances are it's gonna be like developed stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Because like cities in general are kind of founded on water. Like pretty much every city I can think of is on some body of water.
Yeah.
Because like It's either on some body of water or it's on some like major thoroughfare, like the fucking like in the Middle East, like the Silk Road. It's like all those cities are like major trading because that's where cities come from. You know, like you're fucking coming to America and like wherever the ships drop off all their shit, like that area around that port
Yeah, that's
becomes
gonna be popping.
yeah, like Baltimore is the Chesapeake Bay, Boston's the fucking whatever thing, the Boston Harbor, whatever bay that is. They all have like weird, very New Englandy sound, Nantucket and Patuxent and shit like that type of rivers and stuff. So I was just like, look, like taking that, even Chicago is like on the Great Lakes or whatever, you know. So you take that theory and you're like, all right, look, if I'm staying somewhere, I'm gonna stay by the water. And it's weird with Boston because it's like I could envision myself living there other than the fact of like the coldness aspect to it. It's kind of a shame.
It's too cold.
It's like, you know, I mean, I don't know.
I also feel like you're more susceptible to be in like a bar fight up there.
Yeah.
Like I feel like people fight quick up there. I mean, the same with the road rage thing you were talking about earlier. Like that applies to all aspects of life up there, I assume.
Yeah, I was on my toes. I was more on my toes in Philly. I feel like people in Boston were nicer, but maybe that's because they were trying to work on getting me to fight them.
Yeah.
Whereas Philly was just more like, I'll fucking fight you immediately. I will fight you for no reason. Boston's like,
I have a knife on the bar next to my drink.
yeah,
Fight
I will
me.
stab you. Philly's like, I will fight
Give
you
me
for
a
no
fucking
reason. Boston's like, please give me a reason to fight you. I'm not going to fight you for no reason, but I'm praying to God you give me a reason. I'm just like, damn, dude. Damn, I'm from the South, bro.
Did you go to the Cheers bar? I feel like that's the only thing I know of in Boston.
Fuck, I didn't go to the Cheers bar.
Yeah. That's like that and the fucking like Paul Revere Trail are the only two things that I think I saw in Boston.
I'm kind of glad I didn't because every time I've ever been...
definitely like a touristy thing now. Like
I made the mistake of going to like the restaurant that is in like the diner scene of every Seinfeld episode in New York. I made the mistake of going there.
I feel like that's cool to see, but yeah, you definitely don't want to eat there.
It was one of the few times when I like got something. It's called Tom's Restaurant or something like that, or Tom's
Diner.
Tom's Diner. Not good. Like straight up not good. And like they really didn't play into it that heavy. I think I might have talked about this before, but like they didn't play too heavily into the whole Seinfeld thing. They had like very subtle things. They had like one little magazine picture on the wall, and then like they had like one thing on the menu that was like Jerry's salad. And it was just like, I guess I'm assuming you're talking about Jerry Seinfeld, but like you're really not playing this up too much. Apparently, the restaurant itself was a different, like the inside of it was a different set. They just used the outside corner as like the B-roll, and then when they actually did the indoor scene, it was in a different place. So that kind of helped it a little bit because I was like, if I'm not gonna lie. Because you know how I get when stuff gets ruined for me. How I can't do plastic anymore after that one guy 20 years ago ate out of my favorite bowl. I have not watched an episode of Seinfeld since I went to that. I can't bring myself to do it. I would get.
They're lying to me.
I just like ever since I had that, I got a lobster roll at there too, and it was so fucking bad. And then I just Liv was like, because we were watching Seinfeld like. That was like our show. You know, every couple, you gotta have your show.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
That was our show. Not anymore. And she'd always be like, you wanna watch Seinfeld? I'm like, no.
They lied to me.
They lied, dude. That lobster roll sucked. How can I enjoy the comedic stylings of Jerry Seinfeld?
And Jason Alexander.
And the Kramer. What is it? Michael Richards.
Michael Richards and fucking Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
I can't do it anymore. I couldn't do it. I might go back to it now that I learned that fact. Because Liv might have made that up, though. She might have made that fact up about them being a different set
to
inside.
Save it for you.
To, like, make me watch Seinfeld with her again.
I mean, it would make sense that it was just like an exterior shot because like that's what they did for like The Office. People were like so pissed off that like they didn't shoot that in the building in fucking like Scranton, Pennsylvania. It's like, of course they didn't fucking do it.
Yeah.
They're shooting it in LA, dumbass.
Yeah, of course. But
It's
then
a set.
But you'd think for that, it's like, how hard is it to find a boring fucking office building in Scranton, Pennsylvania? You know, like how many boring office buildings? I feel like that is Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Just like one giant business park. Delaware, once again, solidified that they are the worst state in the union.
Delaware sucks.
Don't like Delaware. New Jersey, underrated state. Good stuff. Got some pizza there on the way back. It was nice, you know. But yeah, overall, great trip. And good to be back. It's just one of those things. Every time I go to a different city, I always have that realization where I'm like, God damn it. There's so many things we could be better at here. Yeah, obviously it hit me like New York, obviously, is just like the ultimate city.
Yeah.
But like I just look at like the people there, I'm like, do you realize how lucky you are? This is such a cool place to live, it feels like, you know? And then I just think about
the trade-off of, you know, never probably being able to afford buying a place, probably living paycheck to paycheck to live in a place with roommates and still not have like the best experience.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely like something that's best you know, unless you're like in a situation to do all that shit, then it's definitely best just to visit.
Yeah. I think what I want to do, well, first I got to get rich. That's step one to my master plan.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way,
If I was rich, penthouse in New York, penthouse in Baltimore,
penthouse.
live between the two.
Dude, the guy that Liv works for, like, fucking owns, like, an apartment in Manhattan. He's got an apartment in Miami. He's got an apartment in Costa Rica. Got an apartment in fucking LA. It's like, that's how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, rather than have one fucking gigantic, big, like, estate in one place, like, having, like, an apartment in, like, every desirable city that you'd ever want to go to, just a place that you can just be like, all right, I'm fucking rich. I think I'll chill in Boston this weekend. Just stay at my fully furnished, fully stacked apartment in Boston this weekend. Maybe next weekend I'll go to LA for a weekend. Like, that is the fucking life, dude.
That's the life.
That is the life. And I've been trying to do that. I've just been trying to, like, book random bar gigs in different cities, just have, like, an excuse to go up there and just, like, break even for the night.
Yeah.
That's probably the closest I'll ever get to it. Quick side away, speaking of me and being rich. My gambling system, I know people were doubting me. I'm here to tell you, I've taken this to science. And over the past 3 weeks, I've been making $5 bets, sometimes up to 30 a day. I have so far made $175 bets, and I have netted a 3% positive yield. Which means, just as my calculations predicted, my gambling system is profitable.
Nice.
Now, for those of you who understand the magic of compounding interest, 3% yield doesn't sound like a lot.
I mean, that's more than a bank gives you.
Yeah, it's a lot more than a bank gives you. Also, for anybody who may not have just gotten a mortgage, when you get that fucking compounding interest rate and it's like, oh, or like if you look at your credit card and it's like 1% a month, and you're like, that's nothing. 1% on top of that next month, 1%. If I can get 3% every week, that's a lot of. If I can get compounding 3% every week, that's big bucks, baby.
Yeah.
Now, I know that my initial estimate had to be flawed because I did my calculation. I was like, okay, at this rate, I'll be, and I pulled up a number, and you know it was wrong when it had like the E there. I was like, wait, I will have made $8 billion by next January.
Yeah. Had to be wrong.
That can't be it.
That can't be right.
But just on the conservative side, let's say it's only $8 million. That is still a lot of fucking money that I'm going to be making in this next year.
Dude, how many sign-on bonuses did you get?
That was the other weird thing, because gambling is not legal in Massachusetts, so I couldn't even like log into my gambling. I wanted to like check on how stuff was going.
Damn,
and
dude,
like
you're fiending.
I know they wouldn't let me do it. Boston was like, no, dude. I was like, you guys just wait, dude. Well, that's one reason I can't move to Boston now. I can't gamble, dude.
Yeah. Well,
Not
that's
a
why you need a
gambling
place
city.
in Boston and Baltimore. One to gamble, one to chill.
Just fly back to Baltimore, place bets, fly back.
Place your $5 bets and then fly back.
Just driving 12 hours a day. Oh man, no, it was a cool time. It was a cool time. I watched. Have you ever seen the movie artificial intelligence AI or AI artificial intelligence.
The Will Smith movie?
No, what is that one you're thinking of? You're thinking of iRobot, maybe?
I think so.
There's this one movie starring the same kid that was in Sixth Sense, Haley Joel Osment. It's directed by Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
And it's basically about like, it was made in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what year it's based in, but it's about like artificial intelligence, and like they created, like, this mother lost her son, and they created a fucking like artificial intelligence kid that like could be programmed to like be her new son or something.
I might have seen this.
It was good, and then
I think I saw this back to back with iRobot when I was on vacation. It was like on HBO or some shit.
No. It was oddly. It was like
sad, right?
It was the hardest drop off in a movie in terms of like quality. Like it was like halfway through. You know how like when you watch like the Harry Potter series. Have you ever seen all the Harry Potters?
Yeah.
The first.
Have I read them? No.
Of course not. That goes without saying,
bitch.
dude. You think we'd be doing a podcast we've read?
I know, nerd.
No, absolutely not. But you know how like when you watch the movies, as most people should have done, the first 3 movies are like you don't even know you're watching a movie. It's just like great. And then like the last 3 movies, like every now and then you'd realize you're watching a movie. And then Joe told me that that's because they kind of like switched directors for the last 3.
The first couple of movies was Chris Columbus, who does every single holiday movie.
Yeah, and then he got canceled.
He got canceled?
Yeah, for the whole, I'm making a Christopher Columbus.
Oh.
Dude.
You're right,
1492.
I mean, that's his production company is 1492 Pictures or some shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he definitely like goes with the name.
Yeah.
He doesn't try to hide that shit.
And that was cool up until 2006.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait a second, dude.
And that's why I don't see that many Christmas movies.
Nope, no more Christmas.
He got canceled.
You can't say it anymore. Merry Chris Columbus. I was convinced that this fucking AI movie, like they just switched directors halfway through, because the last part of it was so fucking weird. And it's so funny to watch movies that are like based in the future but made a while ago and just see how wrong they are about most shit.
Yeah.
Like obviously you watch the Jetsons and
We
like,
watched, me and Elizabeth watched the old Blade Runner recently, and that takes place in like, 2019 or some shit. Like, and it's like super futuristic. There's fucking robots walking around. You can't tell they're robots. And you're like, and this happened 2 years ago?
yeah. Wow. I must have missed this. It was funny because like the stuff that they couldn't have imagined, and then was it you that I watched that video clip where it was like Bill Gates on David Letterman interview, and they were like talking about the internet?
Maybe.
I'm gonna you know what?
Let's pull it up.
I'm gonna do something we rarely do on this
Play
show.
a clip.
Even
hey,
though
no, it's also something. Maybe do you want to reveal this to the cast? We haven't yet.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about
We
this,
actually
guys.
have a guest on the couch this whole episode.
Why don't we pull this up?
This is only for the video watchers.
Yeah, if you guys aren't watching the video, I don't know what to fucking tell you, other than you're missing out. Our new fucking sign, baby.
Ooh.
Live from the studio.
Good.
It's fucking sweet. We're gonna.
It is beautiful.
I guess we determined we have to rearrange the entire studio now.
To make the sign look even better.
Yes, this has been the motivation for making our studio look nice now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can get this shit going, which obviously I can't. What the fuck? Oh, here we go. All right. Now, as a preface to this is a video that I think you'll recognize this once you see it, because I think we want to watch this in one of our like weird zone out after post podcast things. And it's Bill Gates on the whatever show David Letterman did. This is in 1995. And he's explaining the internet.
Might have been just the Tonight Show.
Yeah, whatever it is. This is him explaining the internet. Let's pull it up.
Oh, I guess it's going to play over there.
What the hell is that exactly? Well, it's become a place where people are publishing information. Right. So everybody can have their own homepage. Companies are there. The latest information. It's wild what's going on. You can send electronic mail to people. It is the big new thing.
Yeah, but it's easy to criticize something you don't fully understand, which is my position here.
Go ahead.
But I can remember a couple of months ago, there was like a big breakthrough announcement that on the internet or on some computer deal, they were going to broadcast a baseball game. You could listen to a baseball game on your computer. And I just thought to myself, does radio ring a bell? You know what I mean?
Standing ovation.
Radio ring a bell.
There is a difference.
It's not a huge difference.
What is the difference?
But you can listen to the baseball game whenever you want.
Right.
Too.
Oh, I see. So it's stored in one of your memory deals,
Exactly.
and then you can come
That's
back
the
a year
RAM
later.
thing you talked about earlier.
Yeah. Do tape recorders ring a bell? I just don't know. What can you, just knowing me the little you know me now, what am I missing here? What do I need?
Well, if you want to learn about the latest cigars or auto racing statistics.
Well, I've got that covered. I subscribe to 2 British magazines devoted entirely to motorsports, and I call the Quaker State Speedline about 2 times a half hour. So now, would the computer give me more than I'm getting that way?
Oh, you can find other people who have the same unusual interests you do.
Damn, throw some shade.
You mean the troubled loner chat room on the internet?
Absolutely.
I think one day I'll get one of these deals, but I've played with them, and then you're typing in, and then you get that thing, that little arrow. Is that the arrow you
You
move?
bet.
And then
You
it's
bet.
just, it's like, oh, I get it. It's an eye test. What do we?
So I bring that up because it's so interesting, in my opinion, to see like how out of the realm of like conception the internet was for people
Yeah.
who had never experienced it. Like it's like
And to just like scoff at it because it's like, oh, you can just do that on a radio.
Dude, he
Or,
was getting
You ever heard of a tape recorder, idiot?
standing O's for fucking like applause breaks
Yeah.
for saying like, dude, I got a radio and a tape recorder. What do I need the internet for?
What else do I need, brother?
It's like they have no idea. People don't. It's my favorite quote ever. I say it at least once a podcast. But Henry Ford said, the inventor of the car, of course, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have asked for a faster horse. And it's a perfect illustration of like, we don't fucking know what we want or what is going to make our life awesome. Like Liv was telling
We
me.
also don't even know what's possible until someone shows it to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then once you have it, you can't unhave it. It's
Yeah.
like now.
I mean, think about like sports. Like a huge leader in a sport will surface every like 5 to 10 years, like a fucking MJ or like a Kobe or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the entire game will shift because of the shit they're doing.
Yeah.
Like pre-Michael Jordan, like everyone was fucking, they're plumbers and fucking drywall techs like during the day and playing basketball at night.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you see fucking someone coming up, pushing people out of the fucking
Dunking from the free throw line, sticking their tongue out.
literally dunking. And then everyone else is like, "Oh, we can dunk?
We can do that?
Damn. Okay, yeah, we're gonna start dunking." And then like now everyone fucking dunks.
Now
Everyone-
America runs on Duncan, baby.
America runs on dunking.
It really fucking does. It's just it's fucking wild. Like Liv was telling me, she was like, I told her, to amuse me on the drive up. I was like, look up 100 facts. Just look up 100 facts.
Read
and
them to me,
Read them aloud.
if
I'm
you will.
Driving up 95. And one of them was I'm assuming this is an outdated fact, but the fact was that London cabbies, like the taxi cab drivers, are required to basically memorize the city of London so that like they know every possible place and the fastest way to get there. And like apparently like the screening process is like this super long test that like sometimes takes up to like 2 years to finish. It's like a serious fucking thing.
Jeez.
To get that. I think they're called, in America, they're called medallions to run a cab. And I was just thinking like, there's probably, I doubt that that's still a thing because of Uber.
Yeah, because Uber. I mean, I think it is still like the medallion is a thing still, but like so many people would rather just like, I'm not gonna pay $1 million. Like I think in New York it's something crazy. Like a medallion is basically worth $1 million.
Yeah,
if you have it.
Well, there was a guy who was a regular at Seasons, who was like a partial owner of a very prolific cab company in the Baltimore area that shares a name with me.
Demetrius Cab.
Demetrius Cab, yes. And he was like partial owner or like owned several cars in the company. And this is when Uber first came out. You know, you got to remember, me and your boy here, we were on the cusp of internet applications, dude. I remember trying to understand Snapchat. I remember taking a picture of myself and texting it to someone and asking them, did I just Snapchat you? That's how fucking far we go back, baby. So I remember when Uber came out. We also remember in our day and age when we had Ubers, you had to like it was like waters and candy in the car,
Yeah,
and like
dude,
you could,
they had like fucking breath mints and gum and shit.
you had to like have a year from like. You had to like have a car from like 2 years in the future. It was like crazy. Like every Uber car was like a black it was like 2012 and they had like a 2013 car. It was like there was no like beater cars driving you around. Like everything was like sick.
You would like go into the cash cab every time you got an Uber.
It was incredible, dude. You're like, oh, you got fucking 100 grand bars back here, dude. I'm just driving to the fucking bar. I got fucking bottled water. I'm fucking playing my own music. Like Ubers are not like that anymore. So like, but you remember, like I remember when that first came out and like it destroyed the fucking cab industry. And I remember actually taking his side and getting in a debate with Sean Page about this when we were all working at Seasons, and he was like, dude, it's just fucking technological advancement. Like, you know, like you either got to keep up or just fucking shut up. And he didn't say it that cool, but
yeah.
but of course I'm going to say it that fucking cool. But like, I remember thinking it was kind of unfair because like taxi cabs are under such harsh regulation, but then it's probably self-imposed regulation because they probably made it that way to make it so exclusive.
Yeah, so that they make all the money.
Exactly. So then it backfired where it's like now, you know, there were so many obvious flaws with the cab industry where like they monopolized the industry. Not one company, but like the industry itself was so centralized that like, you know, all the problems that you would have to deal with taking a cab, they don't exist anymore. Like you're not like sitting there trying to hail down a cab and they just bypass you or whatever, or like whatever, like, or like you get in the car, you don't have any idea how much it's going to cost. Or sometimes they take you for a ride, as they say, and just like take the longest way possible to run out the meter. It's like so many things about the Uber just made it so much better. Like you pull out your phone, you fucking just call an Uber. Here's your car. Here's where it's at. It's going to be, here's exactly how much it's going to cost. Done deal.
Yeah,
you know, you have a rating.
Look at the map where you are, where you're heading to make sure they're going the right way. Like,
it's so much better, and it's
so
like
good.
People didn't know that before Ubers came out. It was like nobody really ever thought of something like that. I'm sure people thought of it, but I guess we didn't have like the things in place to actually make it a reality. And then once that happens, it's like you can't unhave it. Like, sorry, but you can't go back to a time when it's just cabs again, and it sucks because
Know who I hope got a bag in this whole like debacle of
whom
GPS tracking and everything? Domino's, dude. They were the first people to have the pizza tracker.
Wow.
They invented tracking your food coming to your house.
Wow. That's kind of true.
That's been like that got transferred over to Uber. That got transferred over to, you know, Grubhub. Every app uses that kind of interface now of like literally tracking either where your ride is, where your food is, or whatever.
That's a good point. I never thought about it that way.
They were the originators.
It sucks that like, you know, sometimes you want to get like, I think when I was in New York City like 2 times ago, we got in like an actual cab. And that was like, I gotta say, it was an experience. It was like this fucking Russian guy, and he was just fucking just flying.
Dude, he was going crazy.
Was that with you? Yeah, that was sick though.
we just ate like brownies and we're going to like Central Park. To
Oh
just
my
fuck
God,
around.
yes.
And I think we had him drive us to like the museum that was in the middle of Central Park, and without realizing we needed like tickets to it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, he was fucking whipping that car.
It was like, but you felt like you were like, oh shit, like this
Yeah,
is
I
a
was like, this is a
real
cab.
cab driver. Like this guy knows what he's doing. He's fucking turning and burning,
Got
baby.
the confidence.
And it's like, yeah, okay, so with every new technological advancement, you're going to lose that a little bit because like you don't need to memorize London anymore. If you're new, you have GPS, dude. You don't even need to know. All you got to know is what side of the road to stay on at this point.
Yeah.
Just don't get in a fucking accident. It's going to tell you turn right here, do this, that, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, so we lost the like, we did lose the kind of, the real cab experience where like maybe you're in a car with somebody and the guy's been running the fucking cab for 40 years and he just knows everything, can tell you where to go. You don't really have that experience in Uber. You just kind of get in and the guy's just like, you know, every now and then they'll talk to you.
Yeah, I actually do this part-time. This isn't my full-time job.
Yeah.
This is I actually do something way cooler than this.
I'm sure, dude.
You should follow me on Instagram if you want. It's every single Uber I get into.
Like at one time in Ocean City, the guy like started going off, like it was like during COVID. He's like going off on all these conspiracies, and when we get out, he like hands us a business card to like this conspiracy website. He's like, just look into it. It's like, all right, dude, will do. So you lose that, but it's just funny to like before you get it, you don't even know what you want. And then you get it, and then you can't unhave it. And it's like I'm watching this movie, taking this all the way back full circle to the AI movie.
AI, yeah.
And it's like
Allen Iverson.
yes, yeah. White Iverson, fucking Post Malone, baby. You go and like all their like things, like basically everything they thought was going to be the case in the future isn't the case. And everything they didn't even imagine is the case. Like the cars in this movie are like pods that are like fucking circular with like a one wheel in the back and two in the well, I guess maybe the slingshots are they might have nailed the slingshot.
Yeah, they got that.
That's
shit
not really, I mean, they look
down.
like
That's the Pope Mobile.
yeah. They look like fucking like hover cars and stuff. It just wasn't it.
It's like the Jetsons type shit.
But yet when they get a call, the phone is still connected to the fucking wall.
Yeah, the phone is still T9.
Yeah. And then my favorite thing was like they go to the this machine to like they call it like Dr. No or whatever, who like knows everything. And like they're like, you know, insert cash, and the guy pulls out paper money and is like inserting. I was like, wow. All the things about the future, but they never conceived of an idea where like, dude, you
Apple Pay.
Yeah, you couldn't fucking imagine that you just have like a scanner. Like we already like it's just funny that like they were like, well, yeah, cars are gonna be like hover cars, but like obviously, you know, when somebody calls you, you're gonna have to fucking walk to the wall, and you know, how are we gonna have a fucking phone that's not connected to the wall? Yeah. And obviously, when you pay for something, you're going to have to hand them pieces of paper, right? I mean, geez, what are we in the Middle Ages with coins? We have paper now, baby. It's 2080. Just, you know, they're like smaller pieces of paper. It's like, wow, dude, you guys really just have no fucking idea what's going on.
No.
You know? And me in 2022, I know. I fucking know, dude. So it's funny to watch those movies and just be like, I always found that interview. I can't remember who I watched it with. The one we just watched, though.
It might have been us.
Just telling to just see people laughing at the idea. You don't think people were laughing at the fucking airplane guy, the fucking Orville Wright Redenbacher fucking
The Wright brothers.
You can never pop corn. You'll never be able to pop corn
in the air.
Of course not, dude. It's just funny, dude. It's funny. That being said, speaking of AI, have you heard of Chat AI or Chat?
Yeah, I think so. But also, like, that's been kind of around for a while.
It's been around.
Don't you remember those like chat, like the ones where you could like talk to God? Like,
yeah.
there's like some old AOL pages and shit.
Yeah, that was a thing, but
I mean, I'm sure they're more advanced now.
yeah,
But
that was like it was like I have this game that I found in my dresser nightstand that I was like in my bedroom. Sometimes like it was called 20 Questions. It's like a little red pod, and you like think of something and then it asks you 20 questions and you just answer like yes, no, sometimes, or unknown. And then after 20 questions, it guesses, and it's like, it's like it's pretty, if you don't like be a dick about it, like obviously it's not going to know anything after like 2003. You can't be like iPhone. Like, oh, you're thinking of an iPhone. If it did that, I'd freak out.
Yeah, that'd be
like,
fucking
holy
magic.
Shit. But like, if you just think of something like kosher, like Tyrannosaurus Rex, fucking,
Cat. Pig.
Whiskey.
Dog.
Just like eyeball,
Yeah.
if you have fun with it, it'll have fun with you, Where the fuck was I? Oh yeah, I feel like
robots.
I feel like
Chat
that was
AI.
kind of what chat robots were when we were thinking of. Like we always had a thing where you could go on. What was it called? It was like Smart Genius or Smart
It was
something
close to
guy.
that,
It was something like that.
Smart guy or something.
I know-
or
yeah, I know-
Smart bot or something.
Yeah, and you'd go on there and it would just be like, "Hey, what's up?" And you'd be like, "Nothing. You're a fucking pussy." And then be like,
Say boob. Say boob back to me.
I don't think I can do that. Anyway, how's homework going? You're like, fuck school. You're a fucking bitch. And it's like, well, this is unpleasant. Like, this is fucking artificial intelligence, dude. How does he know how to respond to me? This fucking pussy ass robot. Just not trying to ever play jokes. This one, though, is like, I haven't tried it. But from all accounts,
Whose accounts?
just like different other podcasts I've listened to that I recycle their premises and content.
Hell yeah.
I'm the AI of podcasts. I'm like, just fucking regen this conversation.
That is kind of that controversy over like the AI like shit people keep posting like of AI doing their pictures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That they're in heat because all of the images they like fed into their, because you have to like train AI. You have to train it with like data sets.
Yeah.
So like for those image ones, they'll just go to like an art website and just download all the pictures and load it into the AI.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the art that it spits out is basically based off of other people's work.
Yes. Yes.
So that's where that AI got in trouble. I don't know if we can get in trouble if you're just, because you're not a computer.
I'm not a computer.
You're consuming.
I'm a conscious
all of these
being.
podcasts.
I'm consciously
copying. them.
copying people. I am real artificial intelligence. Living, breathing AI. My prediction for, because again, I don't want to be like David. I think we watch a video like that and then we're like, yeah, but come on, dude. Fucking, is it ever gonna? It's gonna get to the point where that fucking shit is gonna be almost indecipherable from a real person.
Yeah.
I do believe
The
that.
only like telltale signs, if you're gonna be able to like pick out AI online, probably is like, oh, there's no grammar mistakes. There's no they used punctuation. That's a robot.
Yeah.
Like-
Did you just a semicolon? Nobody's that intelligent unless it's artificial. But like I could see it first. It's gonna be okay. Here's my future prediction. Jim Stradamus. Here's what's gonna happen in the next few years. In a world, Google's gonna jump on this. By the way, they're not gonna get beaten out by this. I don't think another company's gonna take it over. But I think Google. Maybe that's what they'll be called. Google is going to fucking jump on this, and they're going to reimagine their search engine as basically an AI chatbot where you just go, hey, blah, 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 blah. And instead of giving you like a page of results, it's just going to give you like an answer that's sourced from like all the information on the internet. It's going to tell you the exact thing you want to hear in the way you want to hear it. You know how like when you Google something now and it's like you click on something, you're like
talking about Siri.
yes.
Wait, that exists.
But it's like it's gonna be like way better.
Yeah.
Like now it's like you Google like a recipe
Yeah,
and then
it'll
you
be like, this is what I found.
yeah, and
It'll
then
actually be like, well, actually, what you're looking for is.
I
and
think
then talk to you about it.
it's going to get to a point where the idea of like sifting through, this is my conspiracy thing popping through again, baby. But I think it's going to happen. you're not going to have access to like all the information. Like right now, if you Google something and you really make an effort, you like the first page is going to be like all one thing. And then like you really have to like deep dive for anything that's like outside of that thing. I think that the whole like idea of just even like different results is going to go away, and it's just going to be a thing where it's like you ask it and it tells you, and that's it. Like that's all you get to hear about it. And then people are going to look at that as like, this is way more convenient. Like I don't have to fucking like look into shit and blah 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 blah. I could just fucking think of anything and then it just pops up. And like this is like the beginning stages where it's hokey. Just like everybody makes fun of fucking what's it called? The metaverse. Dog, if you don't think we're gonna be sitting in the fucking metaverse 20 years from now, I mean, come on. Look,
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
the
well,
exact
here's
same.
the thing. Like, I think what people keep, like, you know, and it's good branding from fucking Facebook because they changed their name to Meta and they're calling their fucking virtual headsets Meta Quests now or whatever. Like, they were the first ones to, like, brand it. But, like, dude, Call of Duty lobbies from fucking when we were in high school, when it was 16 people fucking arguing and yelling at each other, that's basically the metaverse.
Yes.
A fucking
Yes.
Xbox party chat is the metaverse, basically.
Yes, true. But it's going to be so much more immersive. It's going to be like,
But also, I think that's what's like, I think that puts it in a box almost like fucking David Letterman being like, oh, have you haven't heard of a tape recorder? Like, I think people get too caught up on the metaverse being a fucking VR experience.
yeah.
I think that is an aspect of the metaverse, but I think that's also going to be potentially something that hinders its growth.
I think that in tech, there's the two sayings. Early bird gets the worm, but in tech, I really do think it's second mouse gets the cheese with that. Like, Facebook got the cheese on social media. MySpace got the worm,
Yeah.
but the fucking, once one tech company goes in and like figures, like taps into something that really like resonates with people and it works, they obviously are going to have a bunch of like mistakes that are so ingrained in their modeling that like another company is just going to be able to build something way better based off of that initial like paving the way, and then they're going to like really become the thing. And I do think social media is a good example of that, just seeing how like MySpace like was really the first one that really tapped into like this whole new concept of social media on a massive scale. And then Facebook came in and was like, all right, well, we see all the things you're doing, but here's how we can like improve upon it and like dominate the industry. And then they did. And now they're still, I think Facebook is the one that's like early bird worming this metaverse thing, but it's going to be another thing that comes up that really takes it to the next level. Like Mark Zuckerberg's imagination of the metaverse is not going to be what it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be something else, but it's going to be something. It's definitely going to be something. And I don't know, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, I don't see the metaverse being a thing for another, like in the metaverse, the way people imagine it right now. I don't think that shit's going to be mainstream for like another 20 years, I bet. Where it's like accessible for everyone. Maybe 10 years.
10 years,
Because if you
maybe.
think about it, like, dude, not 10 years ago today, but let's say 15 years ago is probably when the first iPhone came out. And now everyone has a fucking smartphone.
You think that the fucking Samsung Flip is going to take off?
I think maybe for people looking for like that nostalgia type thing. Well, here's the thing also, like, I don't think flip phones, like outside of the US, like Japan still fucks with like tiny ass flip phones and shit.
Really?
Yeah. I think they're way more into like, having like a lot of options.
They like
for
tiny-
cell phones and shit. They like tiny shit.
Scott's cousin's phone is literally like the size of this lighter.
Yeah.
Like I know he's not Japanese, but he's Asian. And they love the fucking, it's like, it feels more high tech to do that. It's like, and that's kind of more in line with kind of what people thought. Because for a while, it looked like everything was going to get smaller. And
Dude,
then
when you watch the first, like back when Matrix came out. Do you remember that phone they had in the Matrix where it like slid up?
Yeah.
And it was like, but it was still just a fucking phone, like
Yeah.
a cell phone from back then. Like you imagined it when you watched the movie, like holy shit, like I bet that's a fucking computer. I bet they could play fucking games on that shit or something. But you watch the Matrix now and you're like, oh, that's like it's like fucking cell phone from the 90s.
Can you do a couple of ad drops? I'm gonna take a piss real quick.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta pee too though, so
I'll run some ads
I'll
when
be
you get
back. I'll be back. Back to back piss, boys. Guys, this week's episode of Live from the Studio is brought to you by the new neon sign. Check it out in all of its glory. It's a wonder. We set it up earlier, and all of us couldn't stop looking at it. This is the second lowest brightness setting, I think. It bumps way fucking too high for the amount of light that we have in this room to make it look good. But that was also a thing when we got the new sign. Is we're like, damn, we gotta maybe do a little refresh on the studio. We gotta make it look as nice as the sign does. So keep an eye out in the next following video episodes. There might be a little bit of a change going on in the works. So far, probably a new paint job, probably some rearranging. Maybe not too much furniture rearranging, but definitely some decor rearrangement. Because I'm pretty sure that Godzilla poster has got to go to fit the sign. The sign right now, we're thinking above the couch. And I think it might be a goodbye Godzilla coming soon. Jimmy Selesky, everybody.
Would you bring him? Brought to you by Godzilla.
Brought to him by the new sign.
Brought to you by Hong Kong. Folks, thanks for tuning in to the Live from the Studio podcast. This podcast is brought to you by BAASTAAAN. I know that's really not how they say it, but I was, like I said, I only know how to say a couple things in Boston, and that's not one of them. That is not one of them. But lobster rolls, brought to you by Lobster Rolls. Sam Adams, fucking live animals, dude. I'm becoming, like I said, I'm becoming a pussy with live animals. The lobsters are one thing. Obviously, you know, like I said, I had to pull up a bunch of articles to convince myself that lobsters weren't intelligent enough to give a shit about the fact that they are doomed, watching as they get picked out and turned into a lobster roll right before my eyes. But only in Chinatown will you see live poultry being sold. That's a whole other thing. Also, brought to you by Chinatown. Where is Baltimore's Chinatown? What happened to every other city I go to? New York has a Chinatown. I think Philly has a Chinatown. I'm pretty sure those two cities kind of got mushed together in my mind. But Boston has one. Pretty sure Philly has one. New York obviously has one. Where the fuck is Baltimore's Chinatown? Can we do that? Can we get one going? Is it Towson? Where is it at?
Where is it?
Where is it? I'm talking about Chinatown. We don't have a Chinatown. Every other fucking city has a Chinatown.
So I don't know if we have that big of a Chinese population in Baltimore. The Chinatown in DC. There's kind of a Koreatown in Ellicott City if you think about it.
Well, yeah. Unofficial.
That is where all of the H Marts are, though.
Well, I think Station North around Penn Station used to be Koreatown in Baltimore until it was rebranded as Station North.
That would make sense. There's a couple Korean barbecue restaurants down
Young
there.
Cock and
Yes.
The Crown, notable Korean bar and show venue. But like I noticed that I was saying while you were out for my ad break, I brought this podcast to you by Chinatown. And just talking about how every other city seems to have one and we don't. And it's a shame.
It's a shame.
It's a goddamn shame.
Honestly, oversight.
Major massive oversight.
It's like Greek town.
Well, yeah, we got Greektown. What is that
You're
doing
not
for?
complaining about that.
I'm not complaining about that, dude. I am not. Speaking of massive oversights, I had one final thing I wanted to touch upon. Just a qualm, just another bad review in my life. And this bad review, speaking of oversights and speaking of Greeks, the Greek church. The Greek church generally gets good reviews from me. This past week, not so much. Not so much. It was my grandfather's 40-day memorial. And that is a thing in the Greek Orthodox religion. I'm assuming a lot of religions. I don't honestly know. And it takes place basically ballpark around 40 days after they die. And so we all went to church that Sunday, sat front row, VIP, table, bottle service access to Sunday Mass. Pretty fucking dope.
They gave you a boy.
Yeah. That's every Sunday, dude. I think it was 2 boys. One for business, one for pleasure. And so we're sitting up there and they do the whole thing. You do the whole blah, blah, blah. And then after the service, you're supposed to go out to the grave and the priest is supposed to do a blessing. So, with the thing, it's there's a thing that you eat called koliva, and it's very interesting. It's like wheat with cinnamon and pomegranate seed. It's very Greek shit. It's good, it's sweet. And you buy it for the whole church, and then they eat it after the service. Is
like a fruit cake.
It's literally served in a bag, and it's just loose wheat.
It's like granola.
It's like granola, pretty much. It's pretty good. It's not I wouldn't eat it in any other circumstance, but it as far
Better
as
than a wafer.
yeah, as far as ceremonial cuisine goes, it's not bad. And so we all go out to the grave site, and we're waiting for this priest, and this is a fill-in priest. Our normal priest was not present that day. He had some type of emergency or whatever. And this new priest, we're standing out by the grave, and the whole service, I'm I don't know who this guy is, but he's pretty fucking cool. I like him. Really pleasant guy. Nice. Kind of had a good, just presence, jokey, jovial kind of guy during the service. I'm I like this guy. I'm glad that he's going to bless this grave. And so the whole immediate family, or not immediate, but just all the people that were directly in our circle of people for the memorial after the main thing is done. And mind you, they have a little coffee hour afterwards that my grandmother sponsored that one. So all the food was paid for by us and shit like that. And then we go directly after the rest of the church goes down to the coffee hour room or whatever. And then we all walked out to the grave and are waiting for this dude to come out to the grave and do the thing. The cemetery is right across the campus of the church. It's a little, couple minute walk. Mm-hmm. And we're waiting out there. It's 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's kind of fucking cold. And we're all sitting out there. And I'm all right, yeah, are you sure he's coming? And she's yeah, he's coming. Blah, blah, blah. All right, well, whatever. We're chilling there, whatever. And then he's still not there. And I'm I'm going to go find him. Mm-hmm. So now I'm walking back to the church. I'm looking for the priest.
Initiative.
I'm taking initiative. I'm finding this fucking priest, dude. And so I go in there, and he's fucking standing in the coffee room, drinking a cup of coffee, talking to some woman. And I'm
Greek priests can fuck.
They can. Oh,
he's working an angle.
Yeah, he's working the angle, dude. Look, when you really think about it, at a church, the priest is the lead singer of the band. He's the head fucking honcho.
Yeah.
And you kind of have this
got some groupies.
Totally. I totally believe that, dude. And you kind of have this untouchable thing where it's you are a priest. No other job really has that as much as a priest. You kind of do have this thing where you're dude, you can't talk shit to me, bro.
And then if you're
I am God.
If you're in it, you're this guy talks to God.
Exactly. You're surrounded by people who all are on board with that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're at church, so it's not like you're at the supermarket. But even at a supermarket, you walk in with the fucking black shirt with the white square. People are oh shit. this guy's probably right about whatever's happening right now. You know, he's probably not wrong. He's probably not tripping. This priest couldn't
he's
possibly.
doing his fucking naughty nice list right now.
Yeah, this priest could not be possibly tripping, could he? So I walk in, and for a brief moment, I'm thinking, this priest might be tripping. So I walk up, and I do my classic thing that I do where it's like, I'm not going to interrupt your conversation, but I'm standing right fucking here.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want you to know that I know that you know we're about to talk.
Yeah.
Like,
You're setting it up.
I'm setting it up. So you finish your sentence. So what are you doing later? Whatever you're doing, you know? And so he's drinking his coffee, looks over to me, kind of like a little bit like with the attitude, I'm not going to lie, a little bit of like yeah, what's up? What do you want? I'm like, I'm being polite as possible. Fucking, I'm in church. I'm in a fucking suit. The day of my grandfather's 40-day blessing. I'm being polite. I'm like, hey, man, just wanted to kind of check. I wasn't sure what the protocol is if you were coming out to the gravesite to do the blessing. He was like, yeah, I'm going out. Just kind of drinking this coffee right now. Oh, yeah, and she sponsored the coffee hour too, right? And I'm like, yeah. So he's like, yeah, I'm just kind of playing follow the leader. Just kind of like, all right, well, yeah, we're all outside. So
yeah, the leader's outside.
Yeah, the leader's outside. That coffee that you're drinking, she's outside, you know? And so he's just like, yeah, well, I'm gonna enjoy this cup of coffee and I'll be out. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what else can I say that other than like, okay. Like, I don't know what else to say at that point. So I'm like, I walk back and I'm kind of like, I'm a little bit in shock. I don't really know how to receive it. I'm like, all right, you know what? Give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe.
How long were you waiting at this point?
We had been outside for 15 minutes in the cold. There's like 30 of us by this gravesite waiting for him to come down. And, you know, obviously a lot of elderly people and stuff like that standing in the fucking mud and cold and shit. It's like, dude, come on. It's a fucking 2-minute thing. You come down and
that coffee's gonna be nice if you're coming in from the cold.
Yeah, chant some stuff in fucking Greek and fucking get back to talking to the fucking secretary or whatever. And so I come back down and they're like, so did you find him? I'm like, yeah, I found him. They're like, what do you say? I'm like, he's finishing his fucking coffee. And they're like, what? Like, what do you say? I'm like, he said he's just fucking, I guess he said he's gonna come down after the coffee. And I'm like, what? And then I was like, whoa, and then they were like, all right, we'll give him 5 more minutes. If he doesn't come down, we'll do our own fucking blessing or whatever. So, of course, 5 minutes goes by, and we do the fucking blessing. Mm-hmm. Like, we just kind of say some words in English, which doesn't quite capture the moment, you know? It's got to be in a language you don't understand. Mm-hmm. When you say prayers in English, it's just stupid, I feel like, you know? It's corny. It's fucking corny. God's up there like, really, dude? You can't chant a dead language? Really? Think I'm fucking speaking American English up here in heaven? No, I'm not. I speak a fucking ancient Greek or Latin or something. Give me something I can work with. I'm God, for Christ's sake. For literal Christ's sake. So he's up there, still doing the coffee. We do our blessing, and we're walking back. And at this point, I'm like, really, like, oh, I'm mad now. And I'm getting fumier as I'm walking back.
Yeah.
And I get up to the coffee hour. I'm about to walk back in. And like sitting there.
Like at that point, you can't go back in.
Bingo. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going in. I'm fucking leaving. So I turn around and I'm walking back, and my family's behind me. They're like, where are you going? I'm like, guys, I gotta go home. I can't go in there. I'm really, that really pissed me off. Like, I'm really fucking angry right now. And then like somebody said something like, well, you know, Bo. I was like, no. And I lost it. I don't usually like lose it like that. Like I was like all
feeling the spirit,
all the emotion, you know, because it's a weird thing when it's like the process of that is strange. Like I up until that point I had like wept a little bit, you know, wept. Your grandfather's dead. You're fucking sitting there, fucking nothing crazy. You know, there's different levels of crying. Mm-hmm. There's like the fucking just like, this sucks. Mm-hmm. And so it's been that for like 40 days. Mm-hmm. And then this shit happens, and all at once I just fucking just broke down, and I was like, he's supposed to be there, blah, 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 in front of my whole family. Like, I was just so pissed. And they were like, well, you got to go in. Like, Yaya wants you to go in. She's going to, you know, she do it for her. Well, I was like, all right, well, give me a fucking second. So, like, go off to the other side of the parking lot. I'm just, like, sitting there. And, like, that's the real crying when you have that, like, when your face pauses and you're just like,
Yeah.
and just, and you're like, oh, and I was so fucking mad and sad at the same time. And I was like, whoa, I am pissed off right now, dude. I am so mad. I am crying. That is a rarity. And so
You can't go in after that.
I know. Coming, my eyeliner's running down my face. The fuck is wrong with you? Priest is like, "What you fucking bitch?" Like, damn, dude. So I walk in finally. This motherfucker is still at the fucking coffee thing. Now he's talking to somebody else.
Oh my God.
I'm like, bro, like, oh my God. So I'm like, so my whole family's like, well, maybe he didn't know we were outside. Like, blah, blah, blah. He even said, like, when we were talking, he was like, what is you guys like getting ready to leave? And I was like, well, I mean, no, I guess not. But like, you know, like basically. And so I'm thinking like, and so they're all like, dude, Jimmy, calm down. Like, maybe he just thought that we were all going to go after coffee hour. And that's why he didn't realize we were out in the cold. And I was like, maybe that's the case. We'll see. And you know what would prove that that was the case is if at the end of coffee hour, he walks up to the table and goes, so you guys ready? That would mean, oh, it was a misunderstanding. I could then be like, well, I just publicly freaked out for no fucking reason. I just lost it in front of my distant cousins who only see me once every 10 years. Like, is Jimmy a maniac?
Yeah, but that was probably like also one of the like first times that you've like processed some of those emotions too, and they kind of just came out in that.
Totally. Because I'm gathering as I get older that I only process emotions in terms of anger a lot. So like it's not until like I have like a principled thing to be mad at that my fully like can let go. You know what I mean? Like whenever it's just like an emotional thing, I'm just kind of like, I'm not gonna cry that much right now. You know, it's kind of like the difference between like stubbing your toe and like as a man, you're not supposed to cry when you like hurt your finger. You know, it's like there's certain things you set limits on. You're like,
but it's also like it's a different like pain. I feel like as an adult, I don't know. It's definitely more of like a fuck instead of like a fuck.
Majorly different fucks there.
Yeah.
And so we're there, and now we're the last people in this whole fucking gymnasium, and he's not fucking there now. And so we're just like, all right. At this point, like everybody was like, all right, we already said our thing. Like we're not that mad. I'm that mad, but nobody else is really that mad. And so
now you've got some coffee in you.
yeah. Now I'm not only mad, but I'm jacked
Round
up.
two.
I'm fucking jacked up. So we leave and everyone else leaves, and I'm like, for whatever reason, I just had this feeling. I was like, I'm gonna go back to the grave. And so I went back alone and then just totally fucking like lost it again. And then I like realized I was like, you know, the Greeks have a lot of and I guess it's a thing with religion in general where it's like they kind of have like religious spiritual explanations for like stuff that I don't necessarily take literally. Like they have like the 9-day blessing, and like my yaya was explaining, she was like, well, they say, you know, for the first 9 days after someone dies, their soul is like sad or whatever and it's still lingering and blah blah blah, and then this happens and then blah blah blah. And so it was like I was like, whatever, oh, fucking whatever. And so like, but then we did the 9-day blessing, and it was just kind of like the timing seemed right. Like you're still in shock, you're still not used to it, but it's like it's not totally fresh anymore. It's like, all right, I've had over a week since the funeral at this point. Like I still haven't totally processed it, but it's not like fresh. I'm not like still really emotional about it.
Yeah.
To that point. And so it felt nice. It was like a good timing for that, you know? And even with the funeral process, it's like they have the viewing, and then it's like this, it's like after they die, it's like this whole fucking thing for like the next 4 days. Your entire life is like consumed by this thing if it's somebody in your close family. You know, we had the fucking viewing on Halloween night. I was like, I fucking love Halloween. This sucks. And like, but not in that way, but just like, I was like, this is just crazy. My whole fucking life has become this thing where to the point where it's almost seems purposeful because like it doesn't even give you a chance to actually step back and process it because you're just so immersed in the process, you know? So then that happens and the 9-day blessing happens. And you're like, all right, whatever. And then for the next, like, month or whatever, it's just like, you know, whatever. And then you do the 40-day blessing. And I remember going out and like having that like thing alone at the grave and where I like really kind of like let go. And like I kind of got it at that point. It was like, oh, they're not talking about, this is at least the way I've perceived it now. When they talk about like the soul, like still lingering and not really quite going to heaven yet or wherever they fucking say, I realized like when I like did that and I was like done, I felt like this breeze blow and I was like, I felt this like cloud lift where I felt like for the first time, like all of a sudden it was like weird. It was like sunny and like warm all of a sudden. And like, I realized I was like, maybe the literal thing is they're talking about the soul not being gone yet or whatever. But it's like, I realized it was like, oh, maybe the timing of this is like, that's when the people that are still here finally let go.
Yeah.
And it like takes that long for you to truly like do that. And it's weird how that timing lines up. And it's like, then you think about it, it's like, wow, this like people have been dying for millions of years. And like these traditions, these like ceremonious things that you might look at as like formalities that are not based in anything. It's like, you start to kind of realize that like there is sense to it. And like that kind of stuff, like that 40-day thing, like why 40 days? Why is Lent 40 days? Why is this like, why is it that these things happen where that like Lent is the idea of like for 40 days, you like cleanse yourself and like that's like the amount of time for any given reason. And then somebody said about like with Sober October, it's like, what's funny is like, everyone always comes up with these ideas that are like they think are devoid of religion, and it's like they wind up coming up with things that are just like going back to religion. Like it's like, oh, you came up with an idea where you're gonna like not drink or smoke or do any drugs for about 32 days and you call it Sober October, and it's like, does that remind you of anything? Does it, maybe this concept has existed where for like that amount of time you cleanse yourself of something and it kind of like brings you, it's like weird how you came back to that exact same conclusion, but you don't look at it in any way paralleling what's already existed. So it's like, I realized in that moment, I was like, wow, like in that aspect, like it was a very successful 40-day memorial because for better or for worse, it provided me with an opportunity to like, you know, because obviously it's all about me, provided me with an opportunity to like whatever situation needed to occur for me to be able to have that, that happened, you know? So that was like interesting. So maybe not maybe wouldn't that be a total plot twist if the priest did that on purpose?
Yeah.
If like I call up the church and he's like, you're welcome, bitch.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Or if he like came up behind you as you're like letting it all loose that last time and he's like, I'm glad you're finally able to see it.
Now you're ready.
Training montage.
That would be fucking sick.
Jimmy becomes a priest.
So the next day I wake up and I'm like, I'm emailing the church and saying thank you. Thank you, Greek Orthodox Church. That also is named after me. Saint Jimmy? Not to be confused with Demetrius Cabs. And I was like in the middle of typing the email. I'm thinking like, what's my tact here? What's my tact? Am I like, I've always taken the tact where it's like, if you open up with a joke, even if it's like a dickhead joke, you have their attention. And then depending on where you go with the next paragraph, you could either be like Karen-y about it or you could be like, cool, chill dude that was just making his point about it. So my opening line
never comes across like cool, chill dude.
Yeah, anytime you're sending an
thing.
email, yeah, it's like at least you can respect that I'm trying to pretend that I'm chill about this. So like my opening line, I was literally like, I was like, just want to know if, if Father whatever has done his coffee yet, and then go into like the thing of event.
Yeah, you're not cool, chill dude after that.
Yeah, but you got to admit, it's kind of like
the first person reading that is going to be like, huh?
Yeah, and then they forward it to him, and then he's going to fucking know, and he's going to be like, damn, you kind of got me a little bit. Yeah, and it's like, you know what? Look, you reach a point where it's like, when somebody does something, in my opinion, that I perceive as disrespectful, I don't care what you think of me at that point. It's like, I will go through every imaginable step in the process of being civil and cordial, and because I do truly believe that that is the most effective way of getting something out of the situation that's desirable. People, if you come at it from an approach where if you make it so that people actually do want to work with you, then you're much more, when you put it in a situation where now they're pissed off at you, they think you're a dick, and now they're kind of like working against you and just trying to like get you off their back, you don't quite get everything you want out of the situation versus like, the best example is at a restaurant. Like you're going to get taken care of more in general if you're just kind of more chill and relaxed about it, as if you like, fuck, give me see the manager. And like, then it's like, yeah, you might get like this, that, the other thing. But like oftentimes just in general in life, if you're cool about it, you'll get more out of it. But when it reaches a point, then it becomes, it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Now I'm not chill. You don't think well, guess what? Maybe I'm fucking not then, dog. Maybe I'm fucking not chill. Maybe you didn't bless my grandfather on his 40-day memorial, which means a lot to my fucking grandmother and our family. So maybe it's not my fucking job to come in here and be chill fucking dude like my fucking mozzarella sticks came out undercooked. Mm-hmm. Like maybe this is more important than that. And so like at that point, it was like I was doing it, and then my mom texted me, she's like, Yaya just called the church. He was super apologetic and said it was like a misunderstanding and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I'm super glad you texted me because I was literally about to send this fucking email. But then, so now I'm thinking like, okay, it's all, then I talked to my Yaya like she's like been living at my parents' house on the weeknights. And so I go over there for dinner every like once or twice a week. And so I'm talking to her, she makes like dinner, and I'm like, all right, so what happened? And she was like, oh yeah, like he didn't know this, didn't know that. And I was like, well, that's not true. Like I told him all that. Like, and again, if he thought that the situation was that we were going out after the coffee hour, then why didn't he come and get us after coffee hour when we were the only people in the fucking room at that point?
Why did he disappear?
So it's like his thing doesn't even make sense. Like the apology doesn't make sense. I legitimately feel like still kind of feel like he was kind of giving us a fuck you. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for me not to feel that. And I don't want to feel that, but the story's not lining up, bro. The things you told my grandmother about the misunderstandings, that's not the conversation we had, And so either you weren't listening. As far as I'm concerned, it's like there's two possibilities. Either you knew we were outside waiting and you legitimately were just going to take your fucking time finishing your coffee and talking to the other single women in the church and then go out and do the thing 20 minutes later while we wait in the cold for you, in which case, fuck off a little bit.
Yeah.
Or you thought that we were going to do it after and then
still dipped.
And then still dipped, in which case, still fuck off a little bit. Yeah. So it's like, in what
you're
world?
Like lying either way.
In what world
also,
is this excusable?
In what world is a priest supposed to lie?
Yeah. In what fucking world? So Greek Orthodox priests. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's a segment on ESPN. Come on, man. But it's all good now.
Yeah, dude.
I have my own thing.
You got through it your own way.
So that's groovy. Anything else you want to touch upon?
Fuck no. Other than buying the house finally tomorrow. Big life update. Can't move in until pretty much the new year, but...
Oh, I love this aspect of it, that you went from buyer to now you are his landlord.
Yeah, for like 2 weeks. Yeah, the seller needed to close so he could buy a new place. So he's actually renting it back from me and Elizabeth.
That is the coolest thing I ever heard. I never thought that could be a thing, and
Yeah,
that is
it's
a
kinda
thing.
crazy.
You are now his landlord
Yeah.
for the next 2 weeks. That's awesome. Congratulations
Thank you. Really moving up in the world.
on becoming my neighbor again.
Yeah, true. You're gonna have to come through.
Absolutely, dude.
But other than that, I've just been I fucking had to duck down and fucking grind, you know?
Sometimes that's all you can do, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of Live from the Studio. Plugs? Anything coming up for you?
I don't even know, dude. I got once I'm done with the house shit, I'll figure that out.
Fair point. Fair
Yeah.
point. You got a lot more than fucking open mic nights going on right now.
Exactly.
Fortunately for you guys, I don't have a lot more going on than fucking bar gigs. So this weekend, Jimmy's Famous Seafood. Another. All my stories have centered around things that share my name this week, including my gigs. So Jimmy's Famous Seafood.
Demetrius's
Famous Seafood. I can say their name because I'm not talking shit for the first time this whole episode. 6 to 9. That's Friday, December 16th, or tonight, I guess, if you're listening on the day that this came out. Hopefully. Friday, December 16th, 6 to 9 at Jimmy's Seafood. I'll be there solo dolo in the upstairs bar. Saturday, the 17th, I will be at Vine Alley in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Apparently it's ugly sweater night. I think my contribution to that is just breaking out a sweater, because I don't know if I have any ugly sweaters, but I do have a lot of sweaters that don't fit me anymore, and that's kind of ugly. So maybe I'll break out one of those. That's 6:30 to 8 or 7 to 9. Sorry, 7 to 9 at Vine Alley in the Kentlands in Gaithersburg. And that's it for me this weekend. Other than that, at Jimmy Selesky, at Sophomore MD. Check us out on the gram, the band, at Eric Glazer, and of course, at LFTS Podcast across the board, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the metaverse, all the things you can think of. Till next week, folks. Peace.